Hi guys, it's Mrs. Millicent. Let's do the Check Your Understanding on page 22. Okay, an article in the Journal of American Medical Association reports the results of a study designed to see if the herb St. John's wort is effective in treating moderately severe cases of depression. We saw this data in our last Check Your Understanding. The study involved 338 subjects who were being treated for major depression. The subjects were randomly assigned to receive one of the three treatments, St. John's wort, Zoloft, or a placebo. Again, a placebo is an inactive treatment for an 8-week period. The two-way table summarizes the data for the experiment. Fabulous. And in the last video, I said, anytime you're given a table of data, get your totals. Get your row totals, get your column totals, and your table total should match what they told you, okay? So always do that. Don't write in the book. All right, so now we're going to answer some questions. What proportion of subjects who showed a full response took St. John's wort? Okay, so right now, I am, in this question, I see two variables mentioned. I see full response and St. John's wort. Okay, so full response and St. John's wort. But I don't see the word and. Okay, so I don't think this is a joint distribution. I don't think this is a joint relative frequency. What it's asking for is what proportion of subjects who showed a full response. So of all these subjects that showed a full response, what proportion took St. John's wort? So this is a conditional distribution. So we're going to take the proportion of all the full response subjects and find out what proportion of them took St. John's wort, okay? Let me fold this down. I feel like there's like so much extra space on the paper. Okay. Let's see, number 1 says, what proportions of subjects who showed a full response, so my total there is 90, took St. John's wort, or 91. So of the 91 people who showed a full response, 27 took St. John's wort. Okay, so let's see, put that into a calculator, roughly 29.7%. Okay, so that means 29.7% of the subjects who showed a full response, they took St. John's wort. Okay, you'll notice this is not of the whole table. Okay, so you got to look for some keywords. There's no keyword and here. Okay, so I don't want the intersection. I don't want 27 over the table total. Okay, this is a conditional. These are all conditionals. Conditional distribution, and of course we're turning it into a relative frequency, which is just a percent. Okay, next question. What percent of subjects who took St. John's wort showed no response? So now we want to look at the percent of subjects who took St. John's wort. So now we're just looking at these people. So what percentage of the people that took St. John's wort showed no response? So we're going to show the no response over the total of St. John's. Okay. So total of St. John's wort was 113. And of those 113, what percent showed no response? And that was 70. So 70 over 113, let's see, 0.619, so roughly 61.9%. So 61.9% of the subjects who took St. John's wort showed no response, okay? So again, I'm mentioning both variables. I'm mentioning values of both variables, but I don't see the word and, so it's not a joint, okay? So when I want a percentage of a specific value of a variable, it's going to be conditional, okay? All right, number 3 says, find the distribution of change in depression for the subject receiving each of the 3 treatments. Make a segmented bar graph to compare these distributions. Okay, so I'm going to have to do conditional distributions for each treatment. Okay, so we're going to find the distribution of change in depression for the subjects receiving each of the 3 treatments. So for each of the 3 treatments, I want to see what percent got a full response, partial response, no response. For Zoloft, what percent got a full response, partial response, and no response. Okay. I'm going to move my book. That's okay. Get my paper down here. Okay. So I'm going to do this per treatment. So we'll do St. John's. We'll do St. John's first. Okay. So of the people that took St. John's wort, so I'm going to put full over here. So I had 27 out of 113. 27 out of 113 is the proportion of people that took St. John's wort that had a full response to the medication, okay, or the herb. Partial is 16 out of 113. And no response is 70 out of 113. Oops, that's a 7. Okay, let me throw some percentages in here. I'll just do the decimals. Throw that in the calculator. We already know that one from up there. Okay, so of the people that took St. John's wort, roughly 24% had a full response, 14% had a partial response, and about 62% had no response. These should all add up to be 100, okay, and they do. So let's do the same thing for Zoloft. Now for Zoloft, I'm going to do my totals out of the total people that took Zoloft. So full response is going to be 27 out of 109. Partial is 26 out of 109. And no response is 56 out of 109. Okay, throw those in the calculator. Let's get some decimals. Okay, so again, if we look at this, approximately 25% of the people that took Zoloft had a full response, approximately 24% of the people that took Zoloft had a partial response, and approximately 51% of the people that took Zoloft had no response. Okay, so now we'll do placebo. And for the placebo, all my totals are going to be out of the 116 people that took the placebo. So full response is 37 out of 116. Partial is 13 out of 116. And no response is 66 out of 116. Okay, throw those in the calculator. Let's get some decimals. Okay, and again, these should add up to be 100. These should add up to be 100, and these should add to be 100, because this is 100% of the placebo people, 100% of the Zoloft, and so forth. So roughly 32% of the people that took placebo had a full response, roughly 11% had partial, and roughly 57% had no response. Okay? All right, so now we got to build a segmented bar graph. Fun stuff. Okay, so since each of these columns represents 100% St. John's, 100% Zoloft, 100% placebo, these are going to be my 3 bars in my segmented bar graph. Trying to organize my paper so you can see everything. Okay. Again, these are relative frequencies, so I'm going to do percentages. So each bar has to total 100%. Okay. So I'm going to have start at 100%. Okay, so there's my percentages, and I'll put my percent symbol. And I'm just going to make a bar for each of the treatments. So St. John's, Zoloft, and then the placebo. Okay, now each of these bars has to fill 100%, so I usually just write the whole bar. Okay, so I know these 3 are going to add up to be 100%. My 3 percentages for Zoloft will be 100%, and my 3 percentages for placebo will be 100%. I need to get some different color markers so I can do my bar here. Okay, let's do a key. All right, I'm going to do St. John's first. All right, we're going to do full in red. Okay, we will do partial in purple. And then we'll do no change in depression in green. Okay. Gotta love colored pens. Okay, since it says full, partial, and no in this order, I'm going to do full, partial, and no. So I'm going to start at the bottom, okay? So no is 61.9%, so roughly 62%. So, you know, right around there, I guess. Okay, so no is green. I'm just going to color in my bars here. Okay? Now, partial's got to go 14%, okay? Well, I'll tell you, my little trick I do is, since I only have 3, I did 61.9% from the bottom. I'm going to do full 23.9%, about 24% from the top. And then what's left over should be partial. So if I do 24%, that's going to roughly, so here's 10, 20, roughly 24%, so a little shy right there. Okay, so there's my full response. So this in here should be roughly 14%, and it does. It looks like a little over 10. Okay, so there's my partial in purple. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing for Zoloft. So again, I'm going to start from the bottom, so 51.4, so a little over 50, right, for my no response. I'm going to come from the top. So again, this is about 25, so 10, 20, about 25. And then this in the middle should be about 23, 24. And there's 10, yeah, it looks about 24. Okay, and then we'll do the same for placebo. Let's see, 56.9, so about 57. So 57, probably around there. Put my little lines in here, and then we'll come from the top for full. Ooh, so a little over 30%. So 10, 20, 30, so about 32%. And then this looks about 11%. Okay? All right, so there's my segmented bar graph. All right? If you don't have colored pencils for the test or whatever, you can do different types of filling in. Like I did all horizontal lines. You could have done vertical lines, put stars or something like that. So have fun with that. Okay. The question says, describe what the graph in question 3 reveals about the association. Where's my pen? I'll write in purple. We want to know if there's an association. An association between treatments and change in depression for these subjects, okay? Determining if 2 variables have an association is important in statistics, okay? Now let me just first say, just because 2 variables have an association does not mean one causes the other. Association does not equal causation. It simply means that there is some sort of relationship between the 2 variables, okay? So association and relationship is very important because we want to see if 2 variables are related or have an association. Again, doesn't mean one causes the other. Okay, if we look at our segmented bar graph, there's slight differences, okay? They're not exactly the same. So when there are slight differences, or when there are differences, we say that different equals an association, okay? Because if they were all the same, if there was no association between the 2 variables, the bars would look exactly the same, okay? These look kind of close. So, I'm not really sure. If I look at the percentages, let's see, if I look at all of these percentages, in all 3 of the treatments, a majority, the larger percentage, had no response, okay? The smaller percentage had partial response, okay? And then the middle percentage all had full response. So even though these percentages aren't exactly the same, and these bar graphs aren't exactly the same, they're kind of close. So I would say, since the distribution of response types for each treatment looks somewhat similar, I mean, they're not exact, I would say that there appears to be no association because it just seems like, no matter what you took, roughly 25 to 30% are going to show full response. Roughly 10 to 20 are going to show partial response, and roughly 50 to 60 are going to show no response. So at this point, I'm not 100% sure I really see an association between the variables, okay? Because the graphs are very, very similar. The percentages are very similar. Later on, when we get to inference, we will be able to really definitively say whether there is an association or not, okay? So just a couple things. Association is the same thing as relationship between variables. Okay. association does not equal, is not the same as causation. Okay, so just because something is associated. And when we're looking at our bar graphs and our relative frequencies here, usually if they are different, that equals an association. Okay, these aren't so different. Okay, so at this point I would say I don't think there appears to be an association between the type of treatment they had and their response to their depression. Okay, their response to their change in their depression. Okay, but again, later on when we do inference, we will explore this more definitively to really say if there is a relationship, if there is an association between the treatment and their response to their change in depression. Okay, I hope this was helpful, and I will see you next time.